the curriculum? Is it who controls distribution of information? We can have different answers to different questions, I think, in that case. And to me, the biggest part is how do we unify it all? I think first slide shows some great points about how they see doctrine. And my concern is how do we take all those good ideas that the civil affairs specialist group is producing and link it all the way up through CMO doctrine, stability operations doctrine, big Army, big joint doctrine, so they're all consistent and you get the best final product out of it all. In force structure, I think we all know that there is some growth. Yesterday at the Civil Affairs Association board meeting, there was some discussion about how we do that. My overarching comment, because I think we often talk across each other, is there are different ways you can change force structure. You can rearrange the force structure to create new capabilities or rearrange the capabilities you have. You can move units, as some of the KCOMs talked about, or you can actually create new units and new force structure. And that's pretty much the order of difficulty. So we need to look at all three of those as ways to increase the total capability. And the hardest part is going to be if we come back to the Army, if Civil Affairs community comes back to the Army Reserve and says, give us more spaces. We can't make do with rearranging our units or moving the units. We actually need more stuff because that becomes a zero-sum game in these cases that we have to justify and figure out what's the right use of numbers. Manning, of course, is where it all begins because we are the people. People is our stock and trade. And these are a couple of the figures that came out from the G1 as far as where we stand on their databases as well as personnel. The second major bullet there we often forget is that KPOC does not control all of the civil affairs capability. This figure was 600. That's only the number of civil affairs qualified people in other Army Reserve units. And separate from that, you would have to look at all of the other individuals that are in the IRR, APRs that are serving under the KPOC, who have gone back to other functional areas and branches. At one point, we did a check actually close to 2,000 individuals that in civil affairs training and were not under the KPOC control. That's an important concept to remember when we look at how we're going to source the force in the future and meet our requirements. The other piece I just wanted to bring up is on the pessimist side, the challenges we have in managing the structure is part of an old story. We probably have the biggest challenge that there is in terms of managing the force. We don't get a big pipeline of people coming off the active components. We have very difficult training requirements. Might be going on with the different unique challenges to civil affairs. On the other hand, we're not that unique. We're not totally unique. Many of the other parts of the Army Reserve are going through the same challenges. And that's why when General Stools comes tomorrow, he'll probably talk about some of the broad things that he's trying to do to improve our manning and taking care of the force. The Army Reserve Recruiter Assistance Program that can give up $2,000 to any soldier who recruits another soldier for the Army Reserve, right? $2,000, that's a big tool that we can use to fill out some of our empty spaces. He also talked about his ideas for employer support, how to make it more than just conventional, don't fire the soldier when he comes back, but proactive, positive interaction between the civilian employer and the Army Reserve and how we develop our over their career. And I think it's an interesting idea that he's pushing out on the task of implementing and researching, and I think that's something that we all can take advantage of and apply it specifically to the civil affairs community. Training, I know we've got a long session probably on that tomorrow. Don't need to go into that a whole lot. I think the critical piece on that again is how we fit into lifecycle management. I was surprised to see early this week, but some slides came up from our G1, that one of the primary sources of Army Reserve officers today, if not the single largest source, is direct commissioning. The Cadet Command has repeatedly failed to support the Army Reserve with a proper number of second lieutenants. OCS can only provide so many. It's internal direct commissions that the single largest source. That's our NCOs that want to go on and become officers. Interesting implications, if you think of it, for what that means for our training pipeline. We're not getting those officers who are automatically have done the basic course, and now they're coming to us for qualification. Equipping, I know all of you that work at the KCOMs know very well our situation on equipping. Again, the point is the Army Reserve across the force is having trouble with equipping. Major challenges in keeping up with the rate of modernization that the Army is going through, and concerns within our side, how to keep our entire force up to speed as new equipment is fielded. And any more than that, I'd be stepping on the G4 lanes and probably misstating the nature of our solutions. The final piece I just wanted to summarize with is, in a real sense, the Army Reserve looks at civil affairs as a true good news story. And you'll hear it from General Stoltz, you'll hear it all around the Army Reserve. It's not just that civil affairs soldiers are doing great things wherever they go. That's obvious. That's, if I told you too much about that, you'd probably just think I was being over-optimistic. But in both the good and the bad, the Army Reserve, by and large, sees civil affairs as a force that's led the way in a lot of different directions. As I mentioned, one of the big changes, if you haven't followed the Army Reserve, is the creation of functional commands. Across the board, the Army Reserve is getting away from the old geographic, regional commands, the RSCs, RRCs, and going to functional commands. What was the first functional command in the Army Reserve? USACAPOC, to the best of my knowledge. There may have been an exception. USACAPOC was definitely among the first, and we can learn from that. You know, we, the Army Reserve, can learn from the experience of what it took to create USACAPOC. Intensive management of AGRs, the idea of having a slating board where a group of senior leaders advises a PMO on the best career moves for a certain force. Now the Army Reserve has what's called SPMAs, Senior Personnel Management Advisors, where a senior leader and a GO above them advise the personnel management of the force. The entire focus on civilian skills. How do we track them? How do we cultivate them? We haven't got the answer within civil affairs, but the rest of the Army Reserve is going to be looking for ideas for how to do it better as we all continue to do that. And again, throughout the Army Reserve, the question, how do we develop language skills, cultural sensitivity, adaptability, all those soft skills that we need to do stability operations? Who has more experience on that than USACAPOC and the Civil Affairs Force? There's something to offer to the rest of the Army Reserve on all these issues. The other piece that I just wanted to mention again is the bigger ideas that the Army Reserve is moving out on that we can benefit from. Continuum of service is a term you'll hear discussed. Breaking down the barriers between TPU, IMA, AGR, active component. I think back to the times that the active component has said, give us some more civil affairs people, not as one-year mobilization people, but to actually bring into the force and convert back to the AC. We have experience in that where a lot of the rest of the Army Reserve simply hasn't got there yet. Finally, I'd harken back to what the comment that my old boss, General Blackledge, said, that what makes the 352 and USACAPOC different is our soldiers love what they're doing. That is the spirit that I think the rest of the Army Reserve sees and is trying to emulate. Is how do we define our mission in this new long war in a way that says, this is good work for soldiers to get involved with. It uses our skills, it's doing good things for the country. We love what we do. And if the rest of the Army Reserve can figure out how CA soldiers have done that over the last 10 or 20 years, it'll help everybody involved. Thank you.
And Mike Scott is coming up and from the Joint Forces Command. Thank you, Mike.